I don't know if I dream in my wildest dreams. Most of the time I'm thinking about, my wife in my wildest dreams.
No, I think it's a good week for a bye.
I'm go in, I'm gonna take a shower, call my wife, pick up some bologna and cheese. I'm gonna go out the back way. I'm gonna drive home, pet my dogs because we won, and then I'm just gonna. It's not like woohoo, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I can't curse, no lie, right? I was like, effing Gene. That stuff will bite you in the.
Yeah,
Am I allowed to say that? There's a little brown on the bologna, because after a while it gets a little late. And I was like, I'm gonna eat it anyway. I don't care.
Just a natural-born communicator. That's the Syracuse in him. Doug Marrone grew up in New York, offensive lineman at Syracuse, head coach of the Bills, then Syracuse, then the Bills. Now the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars joins us here on Draft Week on Lunch Talk Live. Do you really eat bologna sandwiches? I don't know many people who do.
I do. As a matter of fact, when this virus hit, I had a local company, Azar, send me a bunch of bologna. So bologna and sausage, and I'm trying to keep the restaurants in business too. The local people. So I've done my part, and I put on about 20 pounds. So I've got a lot of work to do when this thing breaks.
That's good. You're a good man. Those are very hip. Those headphones. You are very, very hip with this generation. I'm not surprised to see that you're such a cool guy.
Well, what's interesting, Mike, is these challenges that we have. These virtual meetings and things like that. That's took us to Zoom video or MyWorks, and not having done a lot of that because we're coaches, we're creatures of habit. Most of the time, that's done in big rooms or meeting rooms. It's really. I'm like up to speed now, in doing this, using this high tech stuff. I'm looking right here. I've got we're setting up for the draft right now. So I've got about five computers in front of me. I got 3 big screens. I got the NFL camera, to the right that we've tested. So it's challenging times, obviously, for all of us, but it's also interesting and trying to take advantage of growing, with the media and the technology that's involved.
Take the opportunity. You mentioned your wife a few times in some of those sound bites, and Helen she's the top Marrone. There's no question about that. Can you share with everybody the story for the folks who don't know it? You and Bill O'Brien, the coach of the Houston Texans, are real good buddies. I got to know both of you. I knew you from Syracuse, but I got to know you guys together at Georgia Tech. So Bill's wife, Colleen, before they got married, introduced you and your wife. Do I have that right?
Sure, you do. I was coaching football at Northeastern University, which now doesn't have football. Colleen was working in the ticket office, and I was the single guy on the staff. So, after games or, on the weekends or during the bye week, we'd all go out together. And so, they're always trying to hook you up with, my niece is coming in town, and, or a good friend of the family's coming in town. You guys would be perfect. You need to take her out, show her Boston, anything like that. And those were basically a disaster, and so we're in a group setting again, and they're like, hey, my niece is coming to town. I'm like, wait, stop. You guys, I love you. You're all trying to help me, but it's making my life miserable. I said, and they're like, oh, you're so picky, you're this and that. And I'm like, this is what I'm looking for. So I take a napkin and I just start writing the things that I'm looking for, and so on. And they pass it around, and some people are laughing and joking. And then it goes to, obviously Colleen's looking at it, and I didn't know Colleen well at all. And she's like, oh my God, I have the perfect girl for you. She was my roommate at Boston College. She's in law school now. I've got to get you guys together. So Colleen was not someone that really spoke a lot. So I'm thinking, well, she said that and she's read this and it's the perfect fit. Why not go along with it? So we did. Crazy. So when I was driving down to interview for the job at Georgia Tech, Helen was in law school. We met in Tennessee, where she's from. We went on a first date. When I came back, when driving back from the interview, went on a second, and we started dating. So now we have this long distance relationship. I'm at Georgia Tech now, and Colleen's at Wake Forest Law School at the time. So Helen says, listen, I'm going to drive to Atlanta to see Doug. Why don't you drive in and we'll all get together? And she did, and then that's when we introduced her to Bill. And so the four of us have been, in lockstep, from that point on. We're very, very close.
And I've had the chance to hang with you guys a bunch of times, and it's like two brothers hanging together, you and Bill. And I'm just curious because you obviously play each other twice a year. You're in the same division. What is it like when you guys, who truly are best pals and your wives are really close friends, what's it like when you coach against them? What is that? What's different about that?
It's tough. I think that because and like this time of year too, with the draft and things coming up. So we would going to go through this before when I was at Syracuse and he went to Penn State. We had Penn State scheduled coming up in the future. So, we had conversations of just like friends would, saying that, hey, listen, this is our job. This is the professional thing. Let's not let any of this, get in between, what we built as far as this friendship and bond that all of us have. There's a lot of other people involved too. Helen and Colleen's roommates and their husbands, and it's a real close group. So, we said, listen, we got to do a good job and not letting that get involved. And then, we don't talk a lot about, the job itself. And then, during the year, we all have issues, obviously, and we bounce it off each other, kind of keeping like good friends and what good friends do. And then, the week before we play each other, we really just cut off communication, until we get there on game day, and we'll shake hands and then we'll go out and compete because, both, when we get out there, we're both competitors and we both want to win. And, he's been doing a little bit better job of that lately than I have. And we're always looking to, catch up and get after his butt.
Yeah. It's a cool friendship and a really cool relationship. Having had the chance to be with you guys a couple of times. Let's talk some ball here.
Sure.
Foles is there last year, then he gets hurt week 1, and Gardner Minshew comes really out of nowhere for most of America, and you get this little bump that he has in the middle of the season. What'd you see from him enough to feel comfortable to have him as the guy on your roster at this moment at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think he did a lot of things. He was able to, make plays, with his feet. I think was able to get out of trouble and make some plays. We won, 6 games with him, which, we had a lot of, injuries. We've had things going on. So, he showed us a lot of promise, and it was exciting because in the beginning, I mean, this is well documented. We weren't sure whether we needed to go out and get a backup quarterback early in the season because of the preseason, or we were going to stick with Gardner. And then, when Nick was, unfortunately, he got hurt early on, and he came in and played well towards the game plan. We're thinking to ourselves, hey, listen, this is kid's a lot better than we thought coming into the season. And then the second game, he started off, struggling a little bit against Houston, and then really in the last 3 drives led us on potential scoring drives late in the game. Denver, he came back in a 2-minute situation. It seemed like whenever the pressure was at its highest, he performed at his best. Then he started to go along, and then things started coming up, the turnovers and the fumbles. And, I thought that, when we went back to Gardner, he really cleaned that up and shown that, he was able to take, the experience that he had and learn from that and really clean some things up and, really started to play well. And at the end of the year, probably the last game of the year, obviously, I think that's where you saw him feel most comfortable with the offense, comfortable with, what he can do. And really, he looked, really good. So he's a guy that, extremely smart and like right now, I mean, he's working his ass off. So, you can't ask for more from a player that's, I mean, he's dialed in right now, whether it's we bring in competition, whatever it may be, nothing really affects him. He's ready to go. And, I think for us, we've got to do a good job of bringing in some playmakers around him. When we started with Eifert, bringing him in, Tyler, when he was healthy, is one of the top tight ends in the league. And, talking to Tyler now, he's like, hey, this offseason is weird for me because this is the healthiest I've ever been. So, that's exciting to have, someone like him come in and be that playmaker. And we got 12 picks, and we're going to, hopefully add some playmakers to the offensive side.
So you've got 9 and 20. So everybody's asking what you're going to do. You're going to go draft a quarterback. I've been around the block enough to know that you're not going to tell me right now on TV. So I'm not going to ask you that. But let me ask you this way: if Gardner's your guy week 1 to be your QB1 to be your starter, have you seen enough that you're comfortable with him?
Yeah, and I say it all the time, Mike. I think we as coaches, when we put someone out there, people always ask, hey, you have confidence. Well, we have to. The people, it's our responsibility of the players that we put on the field that, we have to have confidence with them, not only just for you as the head coach, but more importantly for his teammates and the people around him. The one thing that I've always agreed with, and maybe it's the player in me or the past player in me, that players know who deserves to be on that field. The players know who should be starting. So, it's not one of these things where, oh, I like this guy, so he's going to play, or I like this guy. You have to go out there and earn the right to play, not just from the coaches, but also from your teammates.
So Leonard Fournette says, hey, we should get Cam Newton on our team. Yannick Ngakwe's got his deal with a franchise tag and his dissatisfaction. As a coach, how do you keep all that stuff at a simmer as opposed to a boil or a fire, just to try to keep the guys a little bit tighter, which you guys need a little bit more of, candidly, going into this season to get everybody on the same page and not individual pages?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think, Dave Caldwell and I, we've been working really close together looking at these prospects coming in. And one of the things, the traits, and you work with all these psychological profiles, what you need is, one of the things is that this open communication of people that come in and are being able to open up and really learn their teammates and where team comes first, that type of concept. It's probably, so important for us now because, we do have a young team and we are going to have this influx of young players coming in with 12 picks. So the challenge for me is not, how do we get the players ready with the virtual stuff that's going on or any of that, but the challenge is how do you get these guys together where, you start creating that chemistry, you start creating that foundation. I think last year with, Josh Allen, DJ Chark stepping up and, Gardner and a lot of other guys, in these past two classes we've had are good young guys, good in the locker room that are ready to take that leadership role. And it's a team concept from them. So, these guys that are coming in, that's what we want to get going. I think that, with players, you're always going to have friends like, hey, this guy should come or that guy should come. And, you try to talk to the players about talking about the team and doing what's best and keeping it a single message. But then a lot of times you're going to have to be able to communicate in that locker room. That's the big thing with me. We all talk about, hey, we're all men and everything. And, when you're in that locker room, you got to say, hey, listen, I said this because I really think that this is, best for the team. And if you can't say this is what's best for the team, then you're going to have issues. And then things can spiral to a point where you can't get in. It's not like a coach can jump in between two players and fix something. These things have to be fixed amongst each other at times, and the coach can go in there and try to guide it through.
Are those good baseball autographs over your shoulder back there on the mantle?
So I'll give you a little quick story. So when I was a kid, a lot of people noticed my grandfather.
Quick, I've only got a minute. I've got other guests on the show here.
Gosh. All right, well, I'm going to pull rank. I'm going to pull the Syracuse tie. All right, so my grandfather worked in Yankee Stadium for 25 years. So when I was a little kid, I had a Babe Ruth bat, I had these baseballs, but I used to play with them, so I ruined them all. So then I got to a point where I guess, some people, I wanted to relive my childhood, I guess, right? And I went out and over the course of a bunch of years, I acquired some things. So behind me is a Babe Ruth signed bat, which is very difficult to get. Mickey Mantle signed baseball. Wow. And then over my left shoulder is a Babe Ruth mint #9 signed sweet spot, top of the line, probably only one or two graded higher than the Babe Ruth baseball. And then it's a Leroy Neiman painting original behind me, a football painting.
That's awesome.
But it's mostly baseball.
That's quality stuff. I didn't know that about your grandfather. My grandfather, or about your dad, your grandfather. My grandfather worked at Shea Stadium, and I have a Hank Aaron baseball that I just found as I was doing some cleaning around the house here, and I did the same thing. I took it out to play catch, and I ruined it. I'll grab it later on in the show. Yeah. Hey, thanks. Good luck. Thanks for the invite. Doug and Helen invited me over to their house to watch the Syracuse basketball game in Jacksonville right when all this hit. Thanks for the invite. I'll take a rain check. We'll do it during the Players next year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.